dude, I am not giving you one more red cent until you lower this down to where it's actually feasible. Because what are they doing with this money? And you're 100% right. If you serve one day on a board, you get free health care. They're paying some county commissioners $38,000 up to $100,000 a year to come into a meeting once a month, like a Boy Scout meeting or a Girl Scout meeting together to say, hey, you know what? This is how we're going to do for our people right now. And they don't care about it, right? You know, if you want something to change, it starts with us. It starts with you. It starts with a person that says, hey, you know what? Enough is enough. And I'm going to go down there and I'm going to tell them I'm not paying no more until they fix it. Or say, hey, you know what? Lower it down. My property is not worth the value that you're saying. And when we start using government officials to say how much our property is worth, we have a problem, because they're not using a basic set that it needs to be. Yeah. They're going on calculating, going, hey, you know what? This is on the concrete. This is by this structure by 1,200 square feet. That 1,200 feet could be rotting down and drywall need to be replaced and your insulation needs to be placed. But yet we're still going to charge you like if it was brand new. And that's where we got to draw the line in the sand and say, hey, enough is enough. And
I could go a step farther. Hold on. Can I say one thing real quick, Bossman?
Go ahead.
I could go one step farther. Property tax, like, where's ownership in this country? When I go to Best Buy and buy a TV, I pay sales tax one time. I don't continue to pay the tax over the course of me owning that TV. Now, let me be clear. I do like that property tax funds schools. But right now, all my kids are out of school. That's a tax. Like, I will never get another benefit from that school, the education side of it. So I think things could be changed there. But I also think property tax, we pay it. We should pay it one time. Just like if you buy a semi truck, you're paying FET tax one time.
But then you look at the Minnesota, right? You guys got windmills up there, right? South Dakota has windmills. You know, for them to come into the state, and I guarantee I could look back into Minnesota and find where they said, hey, you know what? We're going to put these windmills in here, and for every person that has to look at them, we're going to pay for the taxes on our schools. So for them to come in and say, hey, we're going to give you guys power, you know, on a windmill, but it's going to pay for your schooling part of it. Why are we still paying property tax for schooling, right? And it's a good point that you bring that up. And I can dig all the way down in it. I've done this quite a bit for our local community to say, hey, you know what? Where's the money coming in at? How'd they get into here? You know, and
let's answer that question. Let's answer that question that was just put up here, playing devil's advocate. Okay, we're talking about taxes right now, right? I live in Minnesota. I have a nice house in a nice community. I'm not rich, but I bought a house at the right time in the market, right? My property taxes went up to $5,000 a year. My homeowner's insurance went up to $3,700 a year. It added $350 a month to my mortgage. The average American can't afford that, right? So, or they don't know how to go out and look for other things, you know what I mean? To lower your costs, to get different homeowners insurance policies and things like that. But the average American opens, you know, has a budget. Yeah. And all of a sudden they open up their bill for their mortgage one month and it's $350 more than it was the previous month. Yeah. There are many people that can afford that. And then if you're somebody like me in a position where I have a lot of equity.
Val, be sure and tell me which viewpoint, because we've stated quite a few. So I'm interested to know which one you which one.
No, it was a comment. I think it was 7C's comment.
No, I'm talking to my daughter, because she made the comment, you know, that she agrees with somebody's viewpoint. I just with all that we talked about, I don't know. I don't know if she's talking about arts or not. I don't know.
Well, then you bring up another good point, right? On insurance, right? Even in the trucking industry, right? We're seeing insurance. We're seeing insurance go. But he's right about opening up that bill, right? It's the same thing with an owner operator right now today, right? Opening up a company and now insurance. What I opened up 3-4 years ago wasn't the same what it is now today, as far as what insurance has doubled up and tripled up, and you know, fuel prices going through the roof. I mean, so it's not just when we look at this, we look at the whole countryside, or you know, the whole industry to the American people. That it's not just trucking facing it; it's every single person's facing these challenges every day. And how do you fix them? and how do you get involved? How do you write your congressman? I ask everybody when I talk to them, have you ever wrote a letter to your congressman? Have you ever told them how you felt about where our country's being steered and how they're wasteful spending money? And are you doing anything to fix my dream? Right. That's what we want. American wants American dream. We don't want nightmares. And right now, I feel like we're living a nightmare. Right. We're seeing wasteful being spent.
Yeah, we want possibility, and the way things have been run in the last 10 years, that possibility seems to be dwindling little by little. Let me ask you something. Would truckers, do you think truckers would support more transportation spending in bills like this if we were assured that every dollar actually stayed in transportation, and unlike what we've been talking about for the last 5 minutes, is being put everywhere else?
Well, it won't. It will not stay it will not stay in it. They will go do $1 trillion omnibus, put so much pork into it, stuff and everything, and say, okay, a good example is Vote America or Save America Act for voter ID.
Right.
I'm not too sure. It should have passed in the Senate, if I understood correctly, when they did a roll call before they went on the August break or whatever, but I haven't really found out much more about it. But one senator wasn't voting on it because when one senator was going to put it into, like, say, the Transportation Act, which would kind of guarantee it getting enacted, but it would have so much other stuff on it. But when they took that back and presented it, the original language stuff, she voted for it and everything. Right now, everybody's got their fingers in the piggy bank and trying to take more and more and more. I'll be honest with you. I wish I could get a government credit card and they forget about it. That's always been a damn dream of mine. As much crap as they spend on, but there are some benefits when you cannot trace all the money when you got black projects. I'm not meaning to go fucking squirrel. I'm sorry about my language, but go squirrel on everything.
Yeah, let's keep the language to a minimum, shall we?
But when you can go out north of Vegas, you can see a bunch of cool stuff, which I don't know if it was Kelly or whatever, but it had to be somebody with north of Groom with Skunk Works. But it's like, when they asked what's going on out there in Groom Lake and stuff, it's whatever America has now 50 years in the future. We got technology stuff that we don't know about. Yeah. It's like we're benefiting from it, but you don't know what's going on exactly. The old joke stuff, even off the Independence Day, a hammer doesn't cost $50,000. A toilet seat doesn't cost $15,000. Okay,
you're bringing up some old arguments, my friend. What do you think?
But I'm just saying, there's so much pork, but it would be nice if they could just start putting the money towards what it is supposed to be for.
Okay.
Instead of giving everything away.
Yeah. Let's say I agree and move on. Semi, what do you got to say?
So, I mean, I actually got the highway bill last week, and I mean, it just 1,000 pages of bullshit that I'm still shifting through. And out of that 1,000 pages, I think maybe 10 or 15 of those pages actually cover infrastructure, seas, roads, skies, and even a smaller piece of that covers, logistics and trucking. And I think that's why a lot of people aren't really behind it. I mean, they just look at it as, oh, this is just more government bullshit, because that's really just what it is. I mean,
I think a large part of the problem is just simply the fact that a lot of it is hidden in things that have yet to be introduced or explained correctly. So it's one of the reasons why I decided tonight would be a good night to talk about it, because, I mean, we're told what they want in it, but newsflash, September 30th ain't here yet. And as much as it's gone out of committee and it's gone through some of its processes, it hasn't reached its last call yet. And it hasn't actually developed into what it is and needs to be by September 30th. So there's so much possibility at play here. And there's so much we don't know. You know, people like you, Semi, are actually more dangerous than you realize. Now, not to me. You're dangerous to individuals that have a cause behind what they're doing. You know, it's one thing to put in something about railroads or maybe port infrastructure because you know what we need to move freight from the ship to the truck. Okay, that's fine. But it's another entirely to hear what the senator from or representative from Michigan said about something completely unrelated. So to that, I'm going to levy a question to the panel. Should unrelated programs have to stand on their own and therefore not be part of this? If housing deserves funding, then it should be in a bill on its own and not part of this. What say you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If it's housing, it has to be housing. If it's logistics, it has to be logistics. If it's fishing and wildlife, it has to be fishing and wildlife. These sections are broke up, and
corporations are not in there when we're looking at autonomous levels, right? And they're saying, hey, you know what? We're going to take away the state power and bring it to a federal level power and bypass this in hidden language that you got to dig through and almost put 3 words together to figure it out that, oh, this is what they're talking about. This is what they're meaning. It should be plain English, right? It should be written to where you, an average person, myself, can read it without going, wait a minute, this don't make sense, you know, and then
you need
hide
almost
behind
a degree to figure it out.
Right. And then to hide behind something and say, hey, we're putting this in here for truckers for parking. And then when we look at studies, you know, did we really fix something, or are we taking this money out of an infrastructure because colleges need money and that's who we're going to pay to go do this study on it?
Or the myriad of other studies, or the myriad of other studies that you and I were talking about on our group meeting last week. You know, all of the studies on all of the small things, you know, they're great to have. Don't get me wrong. And they're probably very necessary. But if you're baking that in as the core of an infrastructure bill rather than the actions resulting from it, all you're doing is wasting our hope, our time, and everyone's money. That's all you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, and there's a lot of stuff in the industry that we need to be fixing, right? That could get improvements, you know, for example, triangles that, you know, it's a small thing. Where we look at it and go, hey, you know what, are they up to standard?
If it's something to do with trucking, do a bill for trucking. Something to do with the damn bridges, set aside for bridges. Something to do for highways, set aside for highways. That's what I see needs to happen. And that's the only thing I can see that needs to happen, because it makes more sense, because then you know where that money's going to go for sure. There's no, wait a minute, you forgot us, you know. It's, and like I said, that mentor
can't really make head or tail out of the name. But the commenter says Congress doesn't care about us, but they do love letters from us because it gives them talking points to lie about. Is that what you think? He makes a comment. I mean, somewhat, yeah. It gives them information, I think, to use against us. So, commenter makes a good point. And again, I'm sorry for butchering the name. I mean, think about the amount of times they put out comment periods. How often do you see these comment periods actually turning into something positive? I don't very often. And in fact, more to the point the commenter made, a lot of times it almost seems like they're going against us just because they can. I mean, so that kind of goes back to the earlier thing I mentioned about Reagan. To what degree should we allow the size of the government to dictate our future? I think we've about reached that point. What do you guys think?
I think we've reached that point, but then it comes up to the question: what can we do to fix it at this point? Mm-hmm. What can we do? How can we undo the damage that's already been done?
Simple way to fix it is get rid of all the ones that we supposedly voted in, put somebody actually in there that wants to do the job and do the job right. Mm-hmm. But it's not that simple though either.
No process of change is ever simple. Do you think Obama, when he first took office, speaking all that BS about hope and change, do you think he was really worried about the process?
You want to know what he meant by that statement, boss man?
What do you think he meant?
Personally, I was hoping I would get some change of it from my dollar. That's it didn't really start with Obama, but really when it started cascading like a snowball, in my opinion.
He was talking about miracles.
Yeah.
Here's the only change I got out of his administration right here in my hand.
That's more than I got. That's more than I got.
We can all talk here by our own opinions, and everybody's right on their point of view. We have to do something, but it's just like Sean was going on about. You were going on about electrical and everything on the power structure last week about data centers in a way.
Yep.
Well, why don't we need to invest into our electrical system? Because if it's not hardened, say, not meaning to get on a military footing or anything like that, but say an evil guy decided to blow up an EMP over the United States, it will shut everything down.
Well, that'll happen whether we got more electric or not. You want to make the problem worse?
It'll fry it because the systems are not protected and everything.
True.
So on this Build American 250 Act, right? They have security on the highways, right? That's what it's underneath. So are they talking about flock cameras? Are they talking about having more officers? Like, what does this mean, right? What in there is it saying? We need security for our roadways. What is it? Tell me the answer, because I don't know what security on the highway is in their terms. Into their terms, right? I can assume, and we know what assuming does.
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't seen any security on the highways anymore.
Yeah, let me pay attention to the commenter. David Richards says, I'm 67 and retired from 30-odd years of driving truck. I look at society today, and I just don't understand anything anymore. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club, my friend. You are part and parcel part of this club, and average driver with your experience probably feels the same way. So my hope is we can make a dent, maybe very small, but hey, anything you got to add, we will certainly welcome to hear it on Trucking City. So how much, now back into the conversation we're having, how much trust do you think we should put in bills that they're trying to put out, which, as some of you pointed out a minute ago, over 1,000 pages, almost nobody's read this. I know I haven't. And I know probably the average person up there, talking about and voting on this probably has little to no idea. How much trust should we actually put in this?
Little to none. Little
to none. Hey, there you go.
Yeah, what I was bringing up earlier, freaking there's so much added into this crap. I mean, I know that there's been several other bills that have been introduced that, 3,000-4,000 pages, and I promise you that half the freaking congressmen and senators and who all that freaking voted on it didn't take the time to read it. There's no way in hell.
No, obviously not. Yeah.
All right, to dumb this down for people, let's just put it this way. This is what this bill is, and the reason why it's so long, and they've been doing it for years. And I think it was Sean that had said something about adding stuff in. All right, you want this? I appreciate that. You want this? I want that. We're gonna put it both in there so they cancel each other out, so nothing gets improved. There you go, in a nutshell.
Is that what you think is going on?
That's exactly what's going on. It's been going on for 250 fucking years.
Yeah. So you
that
think
is
it's
exactly what's going on.
Simple diversionary tactic.
Well,
is what you
look at every bill that has passed. Right. Trucking related or not. There is something in that bill that has nothing to fucking do with it.
Right.
Look here, boss man. I'm gonna say something.
It's because this person or this senator or whoever wanted this, but I'm going to vote no against it, but I'll vote yes if you add this into it.
Okay.
Look here, I want to add this.
Oh, go ahead. Grumpy, go ahead.
I'm going to add this to you, and I'm just going to straight out say it, damn it. It's called money talks and bullshit walks, and we all know it.
Amen, sir.
If you got money, you get stuff done. If you ain't got money, they just look at you like, "What? Who the hell are you?"
Right. So I
mean,
think what it
everybody's got
comes down
some
to.
hands into it.
So-
Money
Well,
is-
I think
is
what
100%
well, I think
of the
what it comes
problem.
down to, and I may be stepping on what you're about to say, Sean, and I apologize if so. I think what it comes down to is enough of us.
I can't hear boss,
gather-
man. I gotta reset.
Go ahead, man. Enough of us going into at least a mode of we got to demand accountability, because I think that one of the things that's really lacked here, and for a number of reasons, is that we just don't hold everyone accountable. We just accept and assume that everybody else knows better than we, because you know what, we're not there at the time it's being voted on or drafted or whatever. You know, we get all these studies thrown at us, you know, that you were mentioning earlier, Sean, and we get all this thrown at us, not one at a time, not just, you know, a little here, a little bit, to be sure. It's all conveniently laid out last minute in full volume with no time to react. That, believe it or not, I think is done on purpose.
And I think we're going to see that. We're going to see that on this. So what most people don't understand, like Thumper, you know, on most bills, what he was saying, I agree 100%. You send it in saying it's going to go this way, but then you put in, you re-amend it so it goes this way. But here's the difference between this bill and a regular bill, though, right? So this bill is not like a bill that you're saying, hey, I'm going to change something. This is saying we allocated $1 trillion, and it's a budget bill. So for the next 4 years, before we do another one, the last one that we saw was in Obama's era. This 5 years, I guess now. But the last one we saw that was like this, it was humongous, was in Obama era. And everybody threw every piece they could throw at it, you know, and then you amend it out of that. And this is how we see things change, right? Is we take something this simple that everybody's like, well, we're going to spend $1 trillion on new roads. We're going to spend, part of that $1 trillion on anything that they decide for infrastructure. But yet, then you see housing going in there. Like that money is allocated to something else. So I don't think it's going to be a bill that you're going to see where they're saying, hey, we're going to spend this money in housing, but then we're going to write another one behind it to say, hey, that money is not going to be allocated to houses. I think you're going to see it in there. What's going to happen is they're going to ask for more money because they're going to say, hey, you know what? You guys allocated this $580 billion right now to it. We need more money for housing now. Now we want to amend it to say we need, $100 million or $1 billion to fix the housing crisis in America. Which are they doing it for America, or are they doing it for Michigan, or you know what I mean? You heard what she said. She did not say there's a housing in the whole United States. What she said is there's a housing problem in my state, and I want to fix that. Right. So now what are we doing? Is this now going to go from a national bill to a state bill? I mean, you make the state money, right? I mean, what she should be doing right now is saying, hey, you know what? Let me advocate in my state and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we raise up sales tax 1% for 6 months to a year, and say, hey, we're going to take that 1 cent that we advocated it up and fix housing in my state. This does not belong in a government federal bill.
Just as a refresh, let me play this. Come on,
Unlocking Affordable Housing Act, which aims to help developers access loans to build housing where transit already exists. The Build America Act tackles that issue to increase housing supply and lower costs for Americans.
So there you go. What they're wanting to do versus what needs to be done. So
if they're gonna do $1 trillion in fucking infrastructure, which goes to roads and everything, why in the hell am I bound? Okay, we get what you're saying, dog. Why the hell am I bouncing up and down the Indiana and Illinois roads and getting kidney stones after that?
Mm-hmm.
That infrastructure thing has been around for as long as trucks, and nothing's being done about it.
It really makes you wonder where all that money on those toll roads goes towards.
So
they're talking about turning the I-70 into a toll road now too, and it's like, what are they doing with all the fucking money? I agree. What are they doing with the money? Like,
here's
how is it that how is it that out of all the 48 continental states, Indiana and Illinois, they get the same amount. They get the same allotted amount from the federal government, but yet where is that money going, and why are their states so shitty when other states that don't get a portion of what they get have pristine roads?
You wanna know how you can fix the housing crisis? Get rid of a lot of the bullshit regulations they got going on. The Pacific Palisades fire in California is a very good example of that. They kind of want to just put that for affordable housing, but they will not allow the people that actually own the land go back in there and just rebuild it real quick. There's some of them that have been held up for almost, I think it's been a year or 2 years now. But there's some YouTubers that just finally got their house rebuilt, but a lot of it was being held up by EPA, environmental studies, this or that. A lot of it was by the city government, the state government, and in some cases the federal government. So if you can get rid of some regulations on stuff that ties people's hands and everything, but also enforce where the builders are being so damn cheap when they're constructing the house. When you go buy a $500,000 house, then you got to go spend another $250,000 on it just to get it up to code because it was just built at the same time as everything else.
Did I lose my audio, or are you guys able to hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
All right. I just wanted to be sure because there for a minute I couldn't speak. So
Yours cuts in and out every now and then.
sorry, I didn't interrupt your train of thought. But.
To answer on that on your tax thing with housing, right? If we want to fix housing, why are we charging taxes on the piece of plywood, on the toilet you buy, the sink that you're going to get? You know, these are the things. Hey, look, if we got a problem, let's lower it down. And then to answer the I-70 question, right? We actually we've sent advocates over there to protest. We sent a letter to the governor there saying, hey, look, truck drivers does not want the toll road, right? And then we look at what's going on behind the scenes right now. We're paying for I-70 right now, the road. There was a bipartisanship bill back when Joe Biden was in office. It was $600 billion. Most of it we can't even track because it was wasteful. They said, hey, there's fraud in this, man, and we can't even find out where all the money went. But yet I see I-70 being built out of it, you know, and it's all like, wait a minute. If there's fraud there, is it fraud now that you're gonna pay, the taxpayer is gonna pay for the road, and then in 3 years you're gonna take and turn around and make this into a toll road? That's something that we've already paid. Tell me how this makes sense. How's this fair? How's this if Indiana wanted it, then maybe the governor should have went out there and raised his own money, built the road, and then he could start charging charges to drive on that road. But that's not, one, it's not his road, and two, our forefathers built this for our country way back in the day. I mean, we look at this is how World War I, World War II goes into effect so we can get freedom of travel. I think our rights as an American to move around the country for freedom of travel is being tested right now, right? Because
Well, here's something to chew on. And this goes back to Fate when he was here, and Fate, if you're watching, sorry, having audio issues, but boom. Anyway, he knows what that means, so is Boss Man.
Yep.
But I didn't really get a word in because of issues and stuff like this too. But okay, so our property taxes and everything else goes up, but yet you go buy a brand new $100,000 pickup or a we'll just say $500,000 W900.
Turn light on.
But as soon as you leave the lot, it depreciates half its value.
Exactly.
But yet, my house from 1905 that I paid 10 years ago, I paid $52,000 for, is worth $120,000 now, and I haven't done a single thing to it.
Yep. Good point.
Corporation.
Well, no, it's not corporation. It's our money funding the government.
The the point I think he was making is the
Yeah.
government is becoming a corporation. So I think where he was going with that.
Yeah, that's where I was going with. The government is saying what your property's valued at, not us.
So
It's
our
also-
government's been a
so go to-
corporation since
One at a time.
1936 when we dropped the gold standard.
Yeah.
We implemented that Federal Reserve and everything went private.
Go
One at a
to
time,
your
For years.
Go ahead, Thumper.
go to your senator and everything else and ask them that question. The
Yep.
viewers who are watching, ask them that question. Go to your senator, your governor, whoever. How is it I could buy a house for this much, but I could buy a new vehicle and it depreciates half its value as soon as I drive it off the lot, but yet my house keeps going up and it's almost 100, it's over 100 years old.
Yeah.
And if they can't answer that, there's a problem.
Well,
But-
here's how I see
you-
that, Thumper.
Go ahead, Grumpy.
That is okay. Nowadays, and even it's been that way for a while. Most everything that's like a car or a refrigerator or something like that is what they call a throwaway technology. Okay, a house really you don't throw it away. Most people usually invest by trying to keep up on it. They usually keep your roof done on it. It's always going to have value to it. Plus, it's on
Bullshit.
land which we never actually
Right.
own.
Yeah,
you-
there you go. There's the pivotal
See,
point.
you don't own that land.
Ever own jack crap. The way society is today, and the way it's rigged, and the way it's set up, you never own a thing.
Yep.
But we still pay taxes on our vehicles. So don't think when you buy it and you leave out of the yard you paid your taxes, because we look at what they call
Licensing and all that.
licensing
Yeah,
and
I get
everything
all
else.
that, but hold on,
That's just lower.
hold on.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
okay, there's houses being demolished all the time, so I'm gonna debunk yours right there, Grumpy, by saying that. There's buildings.
I understand
that,
that, but the
rotting
land,
away.
the land that it sits
on,
on is what is the value, not your house.
Right.
It's the
Let
land.
him finish, though. Let him finish. Go ahead, Thumper.
So when you go to the vehicles, yeah, it loses half of its value as soon as you leave a lot. But let's take a 1968 Camaro for example.
Mhm.
It's a pretty rare car right now.
Right.
When they were brand new, they were $2,800, $3,500 at most with all the options. You know how much those cars are worth now? Over $100,000. So there is stuff out there that still increases in value, but
Now,
the
Grumpy's
valid
probably
point.
Grumpy's
valid-
probably going to go in the very point I'm going to make, which is it's one thing to compare an actual piece of real estate in this equation to a classic car, because that's the kind of car you're talking about. A classic car goes up in value because of the rarity. Real
Okay,
estate
so hold on.
estate is different because there is not today less real estate than there was 20 or 30 years
Boss,
ago.
Boss
Real
man,
estate does
I
not lose
get-
value.
I
Boss
get,
man.
but you guys aren't
Hold on.
getting what
Oh.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Everything
Okay.
loses value.
Right.
Like I said, my house is over 100 years old. It's built in 1905.
Right.
Okay, so when they built that house, it probably was 1905. Let's say it was $500.
Right.
A Sears catalog house, you want to call it.
Yeah, or something. Yeah.
No, literally, that's what my house is. It's a Sears catalog house.
Well, my grandfather built his own house for $500 back in I want to say the early 40s. So
Well, but
I
my
get what you're
point
saying.
is, yes, stuff increases in value. Yeah, you can't compare apples to oranges, which is kind of what I'm doing, but it's the concept of what I'm doing.
well, the concept is worth fighting for and very true to its mark. Griff, you wanted to chime in?
Yeah, I was just wanted. Hopefully, I can articulate this where it makes sense and everything, and I'm kind of on topic. But you were going on about property value and everything. It goes up and down, but there's places in New York where there's people that didn't sell that they got multi-million-dollar buildings, and they've got a little house still right there in the center, and that piece of land is worth like $3 million, but unfortunately with modern society, they're going to try to tax them for what they supposedly think the land is valued at now. What they should originally do is,
Well,
if
what we're talking about are two different things. I agree.
well,
with what
I
you're
know,
saying, but
I'm
it's
getting,
two different
I
things.
just totally lost what I was thought about before I was able to talk and everything.
Well,
so I apologize.
Yeah,
about
I get that. I get that. But here's the thing: we're talking about two different equations. Okay, property values are based on assessments, and assessments change over time. the core value of a piece of property will change over time. The amount or mass of it never changes. Okay, because you don't have a problem with, as opposed to cars, that they make less, therefore real estate is rare. You still have, at least on a large scale, the same amount of real estate today that you had 25 years ago. So it's not a rarity problem. The value proposition is entered in when you have the change in the economy that facilitates the reassessment, which happens every decade. That's the problem. And who it's based on and what it's based on is, in my estimation, a serious falsity.
I think what I was kind of going towards a little bit would be, say where you live at right now, your present home. Say they decided to build something that is a big project, but it would actually increase all the property value around and everything,
right.
And that would benefit you a lot. But what's not fair to you, though, they would want to try to tax you what the new property value would be in the future. But I think
comments are stacking up, guys. We've got
I was
quite
just
a
gonna
bit.
say there's one comment I want to address.
Okay, well, stop me when I get to it. I'm gonna be fair to all the viewers. Chief Freight Hauler, welcome to the show. Glad you could be with us tonight. He says your house will be taxed yearly on unrealized gains, which is a good point. Yep. If you sell it, that's usually where that comes into the argument. He goes on to say, if I buy anything else, I only buy taxes on the gain once I sell it, but your house is different. Yep. Capital gains is a whole different ball game. So that's a different video and a different discussion, not part of what we're talking about. But to also get to another commenter, and again, I'm not sure about the name, so I'm just going to call you Miracle. A classic car doesn't go up in value because it's rare. It goes up in value based on what a private rich consumer is willing to pay for it. Go ahead, Thumper.
Okay, that's the one that I was looking at, and it's it's Psalm's Miracle, like for the Bible.
Well, the value is private. It's between two people. So,
But okay, so there you go. I get what he's saying too, and like I said, I was comparing apples to oranges on that one, but I was trying to make a point is what I was doing. But you're also, there you go. He kind of sums that up right there. It is based on the private rich consumers willing to pay. Okay, well, if the government's saying my house is worth this much, but these group of people, when I'm selling my house, are only offering me, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 less, wouldn't that be part of the consumer part right there?
You would think. There's the old adage about the value of something is in the meeting of the minds. That was what I was taught in real estate.
Chief Freight Hauler has a point on that one right there on that comment.
Yeah, I was just going to go and address that. He says appreciation is directly affected by the wants of others. If I had a 2020 389 with a PACCAR, most would say I had a pile of junk. But if I replaced that PACCAR with a 6N2, the value of that truck just probably, I'm going to assume he says exploded.
Basically, what he's saying is if he replaced that MX-13 with say an N14 or N11 Cummins motor in it, that the value of that truck would instantly go up because you would not have the electronic issues that you have with the DPF and everything in general. Basically,
but see, that's where it's a consumer. Versus the actual, like, a dealership won't touch it because it's a glider because of the emission laws.
Yeah, we may have issues coming up, Thumper, because Sean just dropped out for some reason. So just keep that in mind.
Yep. So anyway. There's so many different sides to the argument that we're on right now that we're not going to get ahead. And even if you do bring it to the higher ups and everything, they won't have answers for it.
Right.
We're starting to go down a rabbit hole where there is going to be no answers.
We do in all these shows, but I'm going to tell you something. I don't mind taking these drifts off into, further quarters of space and whatnot, because it engages people that don't think about these things on an everyday basis. See, one of the things that escapes every single person, not only watching this show, but also part of the panel and others that, get in here from time to time, is unless you talk about these things, nothing can be understood about it. Everyone watching can sit here till you're blue in the face and just think, well, I thought, I know, and you can assume until you're blue in the face. But until you actually get out and do the research, like Sean has, like Thumper has, like Will Randolph has, like Semi does, until we do some of this and actually take for granted what it is we're looking at, all we're going to do is sit here and, as you say, Thumper, we're going to go down rabbit holes. We'll get we'll get nowhere. We'll get nothing done, and we'll be better off tomorrow than we are today. So I don't mind. I look at this as absolutely thrilling, fun, and I love it. I really do.
It's great. It's great discussion. But in all reality of that, we could ask these questions and everything else, but it really is going to be no answer.
The thing is asking the right questions to the right people, because we can ask them all day long between you and I. But the thing is, until we actually get a qualified answer from the representative putting the law through, it ain't gonna do no good. So what we need to do is, as the graphic says, we need to unite now. We need to get our act together, come up with these facts, and present them in the right way. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
So, no, you're good. You brought up the comment here. Property value goes up to what may not be built around it, etc. Okay. Like I said, I'm not trying to argue with people or anything like that. I'm just bringing up examples is what I'm doing. And he makes a very good point on that, but I'm also going to bring up another good point on this too. 10 years ago, I bought my house for, what was it, like $59,000.
Okay.
The town that I live in is about 500 people. We all know each other. I love the town and everything else, but nothing has improved in that town. It's actually gone down. We've lost a couple of businesses due to people retiring, stuff like that. Nothing new has come in. But my property taxes, my house is valued over $100,000 now. So in 10 years, it has doubled.
Right.
So, it literally comes down to the state that I live in is like, nope, your property's worth that now, whether the community has grown or not. Granted, the town that's 30 miles away has grown significantly, and I don't understand how that should affect me, but that's just the way it is.
Right.
That's just the way the government works. When they need money, they charge us for it.
Yep. Sean, if you want to come back in, you're going to have to stay in, brother. You're bouncing in and out.
Hey, Thumper, another question. You just mentioned that the town 30.
He may not be able to hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me, Thumper?
I can hear you.
Okay. You mentioned this town is like close to 30 miles away from you that's growing, right? Is this town part of your county?
Yep. Hang tight,
Well, the
Sean.
county is what?
The county I live in is very big. So
is it part of that town?
Is it part? Yes, the county. That county is. Yeah, that town
your
is
county,
in the same county.
Your county is what determines your taxes.
Okay.
So that's why your property went up in value, because they see it as there's an asset in that county to gain more taxes and all that. So they're going to do that. They've done the same thing here in Oklahoma to where in the county I live in.
And
it's ridiculous.
There's a whole nother discussion that you and I could have after the show on it.
Very true.
Boss Man knows a little bit of it, but there is a mess going on in my town that is affecting a lot of stuff. So
I just want to use this conversation as an example what we should do in terms of with politics.
Real quick, I want to bring Sean up after you've got done making that statement.
Right now, in the past, Democrat and Republican were neighbors, they're friends and everything. Yes, they don't agree with politics and everything, but they can go sit down and have coffee and talk politics. But now you cannot do that. And even on some of our discussion on different items, we were kind of going back and forth. But at least in this format right here, we can sit here and talk about our different experiences, our different opinions, and sometimes somebody may learn something. Like I can, if I ever had an issue, I can call Faye And even I could probably even call Boss Man and ask him, hey, I got this issue, and even Grumpy, okay? Anybody on this panel, I could probably call and ask, I got this issue, even though we do not see eye to eye politically, but I can ask you a question and stuff on something in general that might benefit me, stuff in terms of knowledge wise, and that's great. You would probably answer my question instead of saying, "Oh, f you, I don't agree with you. You're the enemy." So it's blah there.
Acknowledging a good point there, Griff. Acknowledging a commenter, Sage Quest, welcome to the show. Glad you could join us. So hey, now I'm glad you chimed in. If you got a feeling one way or the other, let us know. Look, history is filled with moments where ordinary people believed their voice didn't matter. Right up until enough ordinary people decided enough was enough. The members of Congress work for somebody. They don't work for themselves. They work for us. Regulators answer to somebody. They don't answer to one man in an Oval Office. They answer to us. Like Reagan said at the start of this show, we, the people, expect the government to serve us. We demand them accountable. And I think that's a large part of the reason why we've lost our way. Why they can sit up there in their cushy little offices and they can dictate terms, write these bills, and expect that we're just going to kowtow to every little thing they put in and every little excuse they make for why we should believe them. So as we wrap tonight's show up, I want you to remember one thing. You guys are the workforce. If you're behind the wheel of an 18-wheel rig, if you're in a brokerage office, if you're in a shipper's office, if you take in freight, if you have anything to do with trucking in any capacity, then this Bill 250 bill is going to affect you. And the more you sit there and act like it's no big deal, like people up higher places, paid more, are better at the job than you, then when it comes down to it, sometime late November, December, when it gets down to dollars and donuts, you're told to do something you don't agree with. You've got no one to blame but yourself. So we're going to round around the panel and we're going to close up the thoughts today. I want to hear what you think. We'll start with Will. What's your thoughts? You've been listening the whole show. When it comes down to the way the bill is crafted at this moment, having heard both Sam Graves and that representative from Michigan, what do you think? Do you think we need to do more, say more? Do you think if you had one thought in mind about what should not be in the bill, what would that be? What's your thoughts?
If I had my way about these bills would be written in 3-page, summaries and freaking each one broke down to the appropriate position where everybody can read and understand it.
Yep.
We'll never see that happen in our lifetime. And if we could all stand up together and throw another tea party, back like they did in Boston, I think that would change a lot of things. But there's so many hands in everything. Everything, I'm waiting for them to tax the air we breathe. I mean, they might as well at this point. You know, there's so many loopholes and everything else that that's not what our founding fathers found this country on.
No, very true. Very true.
I really wish we could just all get along. Like I said, in today's society, the different. Been listening. Yes, there's a huge difference between people that claim themselves as liberal or Republican. I don't identify as either, and I don't really care to discuss politics. So much with meeting somebody. I want to know somebody for who they are, not just because they voted for somebody.
Exactly.
And that's a big issue in this country is. We're not going to band together with how they've got everybody freaking running around rampant. I believe that the whole government's got their hands in everybody's pockets. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
Everybody
that's on the panel. Everybody that's on the panel right now, please stay. Don't move. Stay with us through the end of the show as I'm trying to wrap this up. I don't want people losing audio or having any issues. So just be sure and stay where you are. So Will, would it be fair to say that we really need to put less trust in just words and more action behind what's going on?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, you've heard it from, ever since I was a little kid, President Clinton was pretty much the pinnacle. I mean, I was born right at the end of the Reagan era.
Yep.
There's a promise of this and promise that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's about getting the vote, and that's all that matters,
Yep.
Getting the donations that they need or whatever to move forward. Then they get, you know, people that support them behind the background. You know, it's just like recently I've been watching them, you know, saying that, you know, people in Congress and stuff can't be sitting there freaking jumping into the stock market, you know, knowing what's going to happen. That's not fair. And, you know, of course,
With the
a bunch of
leading,
them disagreed with it. And
Yep.
I think that's horseshit.
Yep. The leading example is staring us right in the face, Nancy Pelosi. I mean, I hate highlighting that, but that is
yeah, no.
that is
I mean, I'm
that is a whole
originally from
different
Oregon. And I'll
discussion.
tell you what, she has been like a pinnacle. Like, you know, my family has talked nothing bad about her ever since I was a little kid, just because of that crap.
Yep. We're gonna move on to others' opinions. Again, hang tight, because we're gonna have an after show discussion. Grumpy, what say you when it comes to passing this bill and getting things in that make sense for trucking? What's your last thoughts?
Well, my thought on it is it's a humongous pile of paperwork that pretty much only attorneys would understand. And that's exactly how I look at it.
Yep.
And it shouldn't be that way. It really shouldn't, but they do it every time. Every time they make up a new bill, they've got to make a stack of paper the size of a Christian Bible, you know? And it's ridiculous.
It is,
and then for people like you and I, we look at it and we're like, what is this crap? You know, and you almost have to be a scientist to distinguish it, you know?
You do.
And it's like I was saying earlier, it should be set up to where each individual thing should be processed. There shouldn't be a humongous stack where they can hide stuff. That's one of the reasons why they do that. So they can hide stuff in there because nobody's going to notice, but they know it's there.
Yep.
And they do it even with local bills around counties, in your states.
Yep.
It's been slipped on us here in our own hometown several times whenever they were rebuilding school stuff. It was hidden in there. They'd always put stuff on our football field instead of fixing the junior high, you know. So that's what I say. When it comes to government stuff, I just don't trust them.
Yeah.
Period.
I think you're one of many opinions in that. Semi, I'm gonna throw a different softball at you here. When it comes to congressional action, do you think Congress truly understands what life is like for us out here? And what do you think? What do you think it'll take to actually craft a bill that actually speaks to us here instead of everybody else? What say you?
I think there's a major disconnect with Congress and the general public. I think Congress listens more to lobbyists than they do us. And I think one of the biggest things that needs to happen to fix Congress is we need to do away with the 11th Amendment. I think that is the biggest issue we have with government right now.
Right. Okay, I mean that's a fair statement. I think that's a pretty good place to go with that. So Griff,
Yes,
don't
sir.
talk too long. Give me the same question to you.
Well, it would be if whatever they get into it, if it is going to be beneficial for the American people, it'd be nice that it would actually be implemented in the time frame that they intended it to, not 20 or 30 years down the road, or when my kids are 75 with their grandkids.
Yeah.
Kids.
Yep.
That's the issue with whatever they put in now. So they'll wait 20 or 30 years either to implement it. Oh, we forgot we had that in there. Oh, it's all part of the law. But
right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Sean, what say you? I mean, in terms of Congress working for us, getting things done, they're so far talking a pretty big game. They're making it work and they're making it look good. But when it comes down to Congress truly understanding what life is like for us here on the road, do you think they need to revisit these policies, or do you think we can actually make a significant difference? What do you think?
Well, I mean, first off, I mean, you know, like he was saying, the one couple before, he said, hey, there is a big disconnect. You know, we look at technology that actually can work for us, right? we're wanting to put men on Mars and women, on the moon as well. Why can't we use technology to say, hey, you know what? How about we ask the truck drivers what they think needs to be done when it comes to infrastructure, right?
Mhm.
That it's our money that we've worked, that they've taxed us, that they've took away from our families to say, hey, you know what? This is going to go to our roads and how we're going to build it. So why can't we have an input in it? And then we look at the FMCSA, right? How many of them are truck drivers, right? We're getting college students that are applying for grants and working for the FMCSA to go back to their college and say, hey, let's do this study on it, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta look at that angle and say, hey, you know what? Why don't we put a few truck drivers in there to help?
The amount of people that don't actually do the work, calling the shots. Good point, Sean. Good point indeed.
Absolutely. And then we look at congressmen, right? So then we got corporations going to congressmen and saying, hey, you know what? We want this to change so we can fill our pockets deeper, right? But we're going to put safety and everything else that we have these other regulations that are supposed to be watching over it. And they're turning their eye because they went to the right power and say, here's a few bucks, or, here's $100,000 to make this happen. I don't care what the FMCSA says with a college student. I don't care what the federal highway says that these rules are here, these laws. Make that all go away. Make that pass. I don't care what the states have already written and with it autonomous. If we look at all 48 states, right, most of these states already have autonomous regulations on there, right? So they're asking to say, hey, take this away from the states, put it back in the federal, and you guys regulate us. But yet, we don't want you regulating us either. We want to regulate ourselves. We want to be able to control. Well, let me tell you guys something here. We're all truck drivers on this panel. Why can't we do that? Why can't we say, hey, you know what? We feel like we want to drive to where we are. Why we got logbooks? If you're going to give a big tech company that freedom, when I get into an accident, I don't need to document it with them, right? That's another thing that they're doing.
That may set us up for a future show, but I want to interject because you just mentioned logbooks, and I'm going to move on to our last guest and wrap up after this. So one of the things I saw today, and I haven't validated it, but it's being discussed, and that's the idea of actually resetting all these rules around hours of service. There's an independent source that I'm not going to name right now was talking to somebody that's actually discussing the idea of introducing a 14-hour standard, straight out, no restrictions, no problems. What are your thoughts there?
Well, here's the thing. When we hide behind safety, or when the people that are making the rules for us hide behind the thing called safety, is it really safety, right? We should be having our studies should come from truck drivers, right? The people that are in it, in the industry that's actually doing the work. Let's pull the data off from them, not from a college kid that's on a racetrack and he's running it around or doing a sleep study. I mean, there's a lot of things that we don't know. Like we're looking at the exhaust for carbon monoxide poison, right? Are we just misdiagnosing people with sleep apnea because of carbon monoxide poison? When OSHA that sets rules for other agencies, for the housing and people that build on stuff. When they say, hey, look, you can't be in an environment with 52 parts per million of carbon monoxide and you got to take a 10-hour break off of it. What are we doing to truck drivers, right? If they have it in there, nobody's experienced that. We don't check the older trucks, right? We check these students check a brand new truck that just come driving right out the lot. And they say, hey, let's put this testing in there. Let's get one that's at 100,000 miles. Let's do one at 300,000. Let's do one at 750 because those are the trucks that run.
Just like the myriad of other laws and rules that have come before today that they need to do exactly that on. They think of themselves and the rule, how it goes moving forward, but they don't think of the retroactive effects. And that is where we're gonna close off tonight's discussion. Believe you me, these issues will be discussed at greater length in upcoming shows. But I want you guys to think of this. When it comes to our future and the effect that what these people in Congress are doing, whether you agree with every part of the Build 250 Act or not, is not the point. The point is that these decisions are being made today. They're going to affect every one of us, whether you like it or not. So if we don't sit here and understand what's being proposed, we can't have an informed opinion and an educated discussion, then we have no business later on down the road complaining about what happens to our industry. So it's in everyone's best interest to be part of a forward-moving problem-solving effort. And that's, let's have our voices be heard. Let's get our best interests in front of us, and let's everyone know, hey, we're not going to just sit back and let everyone else tell us what's going on. So what say you, Thumper?
One more thing, Thumper, before he hits in, then I'll quit, because it's very important. If we look at Sam Graves, right, we got to look at that conflict of interest, because Sam Graves, if you know where he's came down in his history of what board members he's been on before where he is at now, I think we have a conflict of interest there, right? You know, ATA is all I'm going to say if anybody wants to do the research. And now we put him into a power to say, hey, you know what? Now I can make the changes that I want for the mega carriers, and I'm not going to worry about the owner operators. So these are the things that, you know, our voice matters, but we also have to, you know, figure out who are the main players and why are they there, and who bought and paid them to put the person on the chessboard, right? So I just wanted to bring that up, Thumper. Thanks for letting me cut in there, but you know, that's the research we should be doing.
Yep. Well, once again, everybody stay where you're at. Yep. Yeah. Don't move. So, Thumper, what's your thoughts?
Well, I was gonna add into what Sean over there had said here a minute ago about the older trucks and stuff like that. That's gonna be a good discussion for a future show. The older trucks versus newer trucks. I would love to debate on you on that one. So I'll keep my opinion on that one. Honestly, boss man, I really don't have a really good ending like we normally do, because you kind of took the words right out of my mouth, really.
Well, your opinion usually always wins the day, so I can't. I can't say that.
You know,
I can't. Say that.
I guess the only thing I can really end it off is, yeah, we got elections coming up, so do your research on who's out running. So your vote does matter, because they are the people of our voice. And hopefully we get a good change in there and actually get people who will do something for us and not them. But that's really up to us right there. So you can find me on TikTok and YouTube here. You can find Busman on YouTube here. Grumpy, I know you can find on TikTok and YouTube. Sean, I believe we can find you on TikTok also. Are you on YouTube also?
I am going to list everybody's credentials and a place to find everybody, so I'm not going to be rude to the current guests. But yes, everybody's addresses will be listed.
So I mean, if you viewers are interested in talking to one of us about that, feel free to reach out. We will take time out of our day to talk to you and try to figure out a solution. And on that note, hey, what do I always say? 250 years, come on. Let's keep it going for another 250, but let's make it a better 250 years. God bless EMT, firefighters, military personnel, truck drivers. I mean, hey, they all don't get the love like they're supposed to. So if you're a normal viewer, thank a truck driver, thank EMT, firefighter, military personnel. And, you know, just like how we always end it, we don't do it just for us and our families. We do it for you guys.
We do indeed. That's the biggest thing we need to take away from this show and every show that we do in the future. We're going to be building up to the 250 Act as time moves on. That's why Trucking City exists. We exist to ask the questions that deserve the answers, separate facts from fiction, and give you guys a place where your voice matters. So whether you're talking about today, tomorrow, the inside or the outside, realize your voice does matter. Don't just sit back and assume the worst. Sit back, assuming you know just enough to be dangerous. Because the future of trucking shouldn't be decided without people who move America. Till next time, it's the truck that makes the delivery, but it's you that makes the difference. Well then, keep the faith and keep it rolling.